NUFC Matters shows for free a week. But if you want to support the channel, there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast or video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications option. Hit the thanks button to buy a super sticker. You can do this on the live chat too. You can also join our Patreon page or buy us a coffee at the link in all of our video descriptions below. We are also looking for sponsors. If you want our latest advertising rates and how you can get involved, then email John at nufcmatters1892@gmail.com. Thanks for watching. Good evening and welcome to NUFC Matters, and there is two smiling faces that you're used to, me and Gibbo, but he's back, John, isn't he? He's back.
Yes, he's certainly back. Three Musketeers. I mean, I've felt a bit like the last season, like Ant and Dec, you know, when Dec didn't have Ant for a while, he survived, but he's much more comfortable at home with his mate by his side, so it's terrific to have you back, Malcolm. Welcome, my friend.
John, that sounds wonderful, but dragged against me will is how I would put it.
well,
no, it's nice to be back.
Yeah.
How are you, Malcolm? I mean, everybody, as you will know, because I know John has been doing a sterling effort communicating with you and with your good lady, Carol, and passing on the best wishes of everybody in the chat week after week after week. How are you, mate? That's the simple question to start with.
Yeah, I've had a really very strange year. Let's put it that way. A bit more than a year. What it was, and I can't put a name to it, for the simple reason that what they discovered was that lying dormant at the very base of my spine was a virus. But when it was examined, they couldn't find any history of that virus at all. So there's nothing in the record books anywhere in the world. So what the hell it was, heaven only knows. But it's taken its toll to a degree. But I'm much better to how I was. But the annoying thing was that I just literally had to cancel 12 months of my life in its entirety, and that wasn't the best of things, really, considering that, and we've all waited so long that Newcastle go to bloody Wembley and win. And I've missed the whole damn shebang, haven't I? Yeah, I mean, the whole lot. I missed it. Not a single game did I see.
We're not going to ask you to go ill again so we can win another trophy, mate. We don't see you as a jinx. It's much better to have you back, pal.
Yeah. I keep everywhere I go. There's stay away signs.
I tell you what, I noticed at the top of the program, Malcolm, however you've been, my friend, you're still scoring those goals. I was looking in case those shots at the top of the podcast, if they went past the post instead of in the net, they're still going in the net. So you must be okay.
Yeah. I wish the current team had taken note on that after this last weekend.
Yeah, Aston Villa. Yes, we could have done with you playing centre forward then, mate. And I tell you what, against Liverpool, Malcolm, we could do with your 3 goals, which is the way you did last time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be one hell of a game, isn't it? One hell of a game. It really
Certainly
is.
Certainly
I
is.
thought against Aston Villa, I thought that generally the whole side were absolutely terrific. They had total control over Aston Villa, who really offered no threat whatsoever of any real substance. And I thought Newcastle United were absolutely terrific until they got to the last third and didn't know what they were doing. And I couldn't help but watch Gordon playing at centre forward, and it was a typical winger's job that he was doing in the middle. What he was actually doing was he was getting into a very good position, and then he would make his run and come away from a good position into a nothing position. And I thought, do it the other way round. Move away, and then you can make your run into the box, into the central part of the pitch. But he was doing it the other way round. He was getting in there, then running out, and leaving a completely unchallenged penalty area in the main.
Absolutely. You're right on two things, Malcolm. You're right on both things, which is I thought that the togetherness, the camaraderie was absolutely wonderful. They showed that the Isak thing has not gotten into the bones of them and made them dispirited and fragmented, and they came together magnificently with great spirit. If they'd had any centre forward, emphasis on centre forward, not Gordon, a winger playing centre forward, if they'd had a centre forward, we would have won. If we'd had Isak, we would have won. If we'd had Risa, we would have won. We just needed a centre forward who held the centre forward's position and more so finished like a centre forward.
Sure, because we got the ball into the right areas in the box time and again. We certainly weren't lacking the supply into the area. That was coming in thick and fast. It was just that those who were involved up front didn't have a clue on how to get into the right area at that most important moment where you meet the ball and bang, you can just get the final touch to get it on target. And it was such a shame. You could see the frustration in the midfield players and defenders who are getting forward as well. Yes, and we're yet to come on to the Isak situation, aren't we?
We are.
I'm sure we're not going to ignore that one.
I think it's only right that we give you the first option, Mal, to talk about it, because we've seen this play out throughout the summer. Newcastle United, of course, never really want to let any big name players go. Certainly not that talisman up front who was scoring the goals and who's had two great seasons in a row. Really, it has to be said. He obviously joined us, after 3 years ago now. But from my perspective, he is the goal scorer. He's the man who puts the ball in the back of the net after everybody's done all the hard work. What have you made then of what's happened this summer, and what have you made of the last 24 hours, I guess, with Alexander Isak finally breaking cover, making a statement via his social media? And Newcastle, it has to be said, quick with their response. They were unaware that he was going to make a statement, and quick with a response to say, "You're not going anywhere, Bonnie lad."
Right. The one really huge mistake in all of this is that Isak has forgotten what the most important thing in the whole situation is, and that's that a footballer plays football, and he's refused to do it. And and therefore, how is it going to be viewed at the 19 other Premier League clubs? They could just look at it and say, well, here's a player who only plays when he wants to. He's not prepared to ensure that he plays the game. And you can argue the toss afterwards. You can argue the toss beforehand. And you can get a matter sorted out. But the one thing a footballer must do is get out on the field. And good heavens above, if anybody ever had a good reason not to play, it was when Terry Hibbett and myself were coming up against Gordon Lee, and the way that he was carrying on was making life so ridiculous. But everybody got out there and not only played, they played brilliantly, and so that belittled Gordon Lee as far as I was concerned, and Terry Hibbett too. I'll talk on his behalf because he's no longer with us, bless him. The most important part of anybody's contract was fulfilled. Argue the toss afterwards. You can always get stuff sorted out away from the pitch. But when you don't play, that's complete and utter breach of contract. Plus the fact that you're letting your teammates down. You know, in the dressing room, the feeling about Isak must be quite horrendous, I would imagine. Who the hell does he think he is? You know, and we just needed him up front and we would have slaughtered Aston Villa. And the players would have been blaming him as much as anybody as to the fact that they didn't win the game against Villa. And that's so disruptive within the echelons of a top professional football club. In those quarters, you know, the clubs are huge, the support is huge, but the dressing room is very small, and everybody's there in it together. Isak, he's made himself a pariah as far as Newcastle United is concerned, and he's making himself a pariah as far as other clubs are concerned. Would you, because if Newcastle said, okay, he can go, but we want 130 million for him, would either of you, as chief executives of football clubs, go out and say, yeah, we're prepared to spend that money on Isak? Could you trust him?
I think that's the problem, Malcolm, and that's what he's done wrong. Because the point I've made, he's only about 24, 25. The point I've made is everybody in football, bar Liverpool and their supporters, will be saying right now, diabolical. Liverpool and the supporters be, oh goody, he'll come to us. But I tell you, he's only 25. In 2 years' time, when Real Madrid or Barcelona come for Isak at Liverpool, will he not do exactly to them what he's now doing to us? That is the question. And I wouldn't trust the fact that he won't do that. That is the problem. All of football, he's become somebody where you go, whoa, I better stand back. I'm not certain about this guy. Liverpool at this moment and the Liverpool fans will be delighted. But in 2 years' time, they might be Newcastle United. He might be saying to Liverpool, I'm sorry, I want to go to Real Madrid, stroke Barcelona, stroke Paris Saint-Germain, and go on strike at Anfield. it is a huge worry.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
am not, Malcolm, I'm not tremendously upset by the fact that Isak says he wants to go. He's not a Geordie. He's got a right to decide. His career's short, all that sort of thing. It's the way he's gone about it.
Yes, it is.
Malcolm, I look at, take Crystal Palace at the moment. Eze is on his way to Spurs. It's happening. Gay, the centre half who could have come to us, is probably on his way to Liverpool. They're still playing for Crystal Palace, giving that all, playing brilliantly. What Gay is captaining them. Eze won man of the match against Chelsea at the weekend. They haven't gone on strike to get their dream moves. They are continuing to play while negotiations go on. That is how you conduct yourself. Not
Sure.
the way
John,
Alexander Isak has.
Absolutely. I sat and watched the Crystal Palace game, and I just marvelled at the way that Easy and Gay were going about their game. They were giving it everything.
Absolutely.
Knowing that they're both on their move.
Yes. But not threatening the club. Not threatening the club, Malcolm.
Do.
Not threatening the club. Absolutely right, Malcolm.
Yeah. And he's put himself into a position now as Isak. He can't be trusted by Newcastle United, and other clubs will say, "Well, can we trust him?" Is he suddenly going to have one little contractual dispute and up in arms? I'm not playing, and all of a sudden, peace is shattered. In football, you have to be very, very careful, and because you only need one little slip, and your reputation shattered. And Isak has slipped.
The problem now, Malcolm. The problem now, and I'm totally wondering your thoughts here. The problem now for me, Isak made a statement last night, and that swept away the last remnants of either the romantics or those that are naive, thinking, well, he said nothing. Does he want to leave Newcastle? Is it true? Is it just paper talk? They were saying this when the guy refused to play at Celtic, refused to go on the Far East tour, refused to train with the first team, etc. But he's now come out and admitted what's happening, and that's blown away the last remnants of, and he's now really burnt all the bridges that it's possible to burn. But look at it this way. Newcastle have said all along that he's not for sale. They've said they turned down 110 million so quick it was untrue. Yes, if they pay over top dollar, more than
actually,
top dollar.
John, when they turned it down, you could hear the laugh.
Oh, unless they pay top dollar.
You could hear the laugh throughout the Northeast.
Yes. And we signed 2 strikers, which we haven't done yet, then he stays. Now, on September the 2nd, if he's still here, and every day that goes by now, it's more likely that he will still be here, because Brentford have just in the last few hours turned down Newcastle's renewed offer for Wissa. And Wissa alone is not enough to release Isak. We need 2. Wissa's replacing Wilson, and we need somebody to replace Isak. But if he's here on September the 2nd, his position of strength is suddenly a position of weakness, because what does he do? He cannot be transferred. So does he go on strike like George Eastham did at the beginning of the 60s? George Eastham went on strike to force through a move to Arsenal, and he went and sold coke for a company in Reigate on a 20 quid a week job, while he tried to force Newcastle into the Arsenal thing, and it worked, but he went out of football. Now, does he go on strike like like Eastham, or does he do that and every week his wages will be taken off him on club fines week by week by week when he doesn't make himself available to play? And does he do that in World Cup year when he needs to play for Sweden, etc., etc.? And by the way, if he does, Malcolm, in a year's time, if he's never kicked the ball, will Liverpool want him? Will Barcelona want him? Will Real Madrid want him? I know his transfer value will have gone down, but also how does he get a club? So he is going to face an unbelievable. And what worries me, Malcolm, is that if he's here on September the 2nd because we have refused to sell him, I don't think he'll go on strike because he can't afford to have. You won't want to have no wages, and you won't want to not play. But what worries me, what worries me, Steve, is what do we get then? Because if he decides that he can't afford to strike and because it'll make him even more of a pariah, and therefore he'll train and he'll be on the team sheet on Saturday, he could just go through the motions. And what's the good of us having a centre forward that is purely going through the motions, not giving it everything, not bursting a gut? If he does that, we struggle, he struggles, and that's my worst case scenario. That's Newcastle, what I fear.
And on top of that, John, he refused to play at the weekend against Aston Villa. Did he still collect his wages?
What the talk was, and we've had no confirmation from Newcastle, Malcolm, whatsoever, but what sources within the club were saying is that he would be fined 2 weeks' wages. Because that's a maximum they could. Absolutely, quite right. But yes, Malcolm, he's going to refuse to play against Liverpool, and then he'll refuse to play against Leeds. Yep. So he shouldn't get wages from now on until he plays for Newcastle United
Absolutely
again.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And that because otherwise, what are we paying him for if he's not playing? When he's
where does this end, lads? Where does this end? We've got less than 2 weeks to go to the end of the transfer window. Where does it end?
It's not going to end, Steve, by Isak signing for Liverpool. For heaven's sake, Newcastle United, they're looking to challenge Liverpool. Why are they going to sell to Liverpool the best goal scorer in the Premiership right now? That's madness. That isn't good business in any shape nor form. That's absolute professional suicide.
Yeah, that's
okay. If he's going to go, like you said just a moment ago, John, Barcelona, PSG, Real Madrid.
That's what Newcastle want. If he's going to go, get him out the country.
Get him out, gone, well away.
Get him. But you see, Steve, in answer to your question, every time you wake up in the morning, there's less chance of Isak going to Liverpool because we need two, not one, not Wisa, but Wisa and somebody else, and there's no guarantee we're getting Wisa because Brentford are playing hardball. We need two strikers, and we need two. Malcolm used the expression suicide, and that's exactly what it is. If we sell him to Liverpool and we haven't signed two strikers, it's in Champions League year. In Champions League year, then it is absolute suicide, and we can't afford suicide. You're right, Steve, because what worries me, and I just said it to you, mate, is that I believe that we're running out of time so quickly. It's like an egg timer's been turned upside down, and you're transfixed by watching the sand run through the timer, and you're thinking it's going to be empty in a minute. And if we don't sign anybody and we are stuck with Isak, in theory, that's brilliant. The Isak that scored 27 goals last season, that's wonderful. But we won't have that Isak. I think he will play then because he'll want his dough. And he realised that if he doesn't play and stay fit, he can't afford a year out of his career. But what Isak's going to play? I'll tell you something, Malcolm, and I mentioned this to you, and you will bear me out here. Can you remember the conversation that we had last season when I said to you, Malcolm, I think this fella's playing to get away? Can you remember me saying that to you?
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
said,
In fact, it was a bit longer than that.
I agree with you, you said.
Yeah. It was
body language
further back than what you just said. Yes, but you said that, and I couldn't agree more. It was something that I felt. He was scoring goals, but he wasn't really taking part in games.
No, absolutely. And I said to you,
and Newcastle players, in all fairness, the players around him, they were making it easy for him. They were laying chances on a plate for him.
And he missed
but he
quite
wasn't
a few,
taking part in the game itself.
And he missed quite a few chances as well as scored them.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Because he was sloppy in front of goal.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember us sitting talking and me saying to you, Malcolm, tell me I'm wrong, but I look at this guy's body language and I think he's wanting away.
Yeah, well, yes, absolutely, and I'm going to use a 1970s expression here that on seeing the way that Isak was actually behaving on the field in a black and white shirt, my head was alarm bells ringing, shouting, "He's been tapped up."
Yeah, simple as that.
And I wonder who it was that did that.
Yeah, it's a horrendous.
Way back into last season when it happened.
And I look, Malcolm, I look at Arsenal as well as Liverpool, because Arsenal wanted them then before they went out and got somebody else in the summer. And by the way, that might turn out to be a waste of money.
Yes.
The guy they ended up getting. I mean, when I look at replacements, Steve, and whether we get any before September the 1st, you know what worries me? All the replacements we are looking at, we've had about 5 rejections. We're getting so far down the pecking order of players we want that the next one we get, is it going to be so inferior that we don't need him? I mean, the guy I would have loved to have got is Tiki, with the guy that has gone to Liverpool. I think he would have been terrific. We were in for him for 2 years. I think he's another Isak. He's wonderful. He's absolutely silk. He's beautiful to watch. He plays terrific. If we could have got him, we were cooking on gas. But if we keep going down the pecking order, we haven't got the first choice, we haven't got the second choice, we haven't got the third choice, we haven't got the fourth. What are we going to end up with? We're going to end up with Steve's mate, Chris Wood.
At least he's scoring more than Isak.
I mean, the rumour has it the reason you haven't been on for a year, Malcolm, is because he hit 20 goals in the Premier League last year.
Oh, dear me.
Listen, with 2 wingers that Chris Wood had at Nottingham Forest, Malcolm would have hit 40 goals.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was well served, wasn't he? I have to say.
He certainly was.
But this Newcastle situation, Newcastle haven't helped themselves, I have to say, and John, what you're saying is absolutely right. But it begs the question: why are Newcastle United finding it so difficult to do a deal? Are they just going about it in a completely wrong fashion? They have to be. They have to be, because if they're offering the right kind of money, clubs will do deals. We've seen that happening all over the Premiership this summer. Deal after deal after deal after deal. Newcastle United, no deal. And so something is seriously wrong at the club, apart from Isak.
Malcolm, it's funny you should say that, and I'm a great supporter of what you just said, because the reason everybody puts out is geography. I mean, you come from London to Newcastle. Geography didn't bother you, but they say who wants to go to Newcastle as too far north, etc., etc. I don't go for that. I mean, you come up here, Les Ferdinand come up here, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, but
Alan Shearer came up here from South.
he was coming home though. He was coming home though. He had a reason, but
he still
you're
came up there
now. But people say all that. But I tell you what, in Malcolm is recently. Let's make it as recent. When the entertainers under Kevin Keegan were being assembled, we got David Ginola from Paris Saint-Germain. We got everybody from all over the country. And the reason they came here was because and I know because as a member of the Magpie Group, I was on the inside, the John Hall Magpie Group, I was on the inside of the Kevin Keegan situation while keeping everything private at that time. But we were front foot, Malcolm. We went into transfer deals on the front foot. Excuse me, how much you want? Right, you've got it. You come here, talk to us. This is the greatest place on God's earth. If you come here, Kevin Keegan used to sit down with a player. So you come to us, I will make you an England international, this, that, and the other. And everybody used to sit there and think, the guy's sniffing glue. And then he did it.
Yes.
Then he did it. He made these people the great stars. He said, we were front foot. We were proactive. When we have been recently, until now, reactive. We're reactive. It used to be proactive. We're reactive. I mean, Kevin Keegan used to tell them, excuse me, you come and sign for me, man. We are going to win this. We're going to win the championship. And by the way, he wasn't that far wrong. We were runner-up twice, 2 successive seasons. And he was saying this after when we were in the second division. We're going to win the Premier League championship. You're going to play for England, etc. And what happened? He made all the dreams come true. We were pro. And by the way, I humbly believe that Eddie Howe was as good as Kevin Keegan when it comes to once the people are in the club. He's a better coach than Kevin Keegan, that's for certain. Because Kevin wasn't a coach, he was a manager like Malcolm's manager, Joe Harvey. He was a tub thumper, man manager.
Very much so.
Run through brick walls, but he couldn't coach.
And he would employ a good coach to do
correct.
the coach.
And that's what Eddie is a coach.
Yes.
Eddie's a good, and Eddie's record, players should look at coming to Newcastle and say, look what he's done for Livramento and Hall. He's put them in the England side. Mm-hmm. Look what he's done for Joe Linton, who's a hopeless centre forward that he's turned into a Brazilian international midfield player. Mm-hmm. Look what he's done for Anthony Gordon, who was stuck in Everton's mediocre side, and he made them an England international. Players should be lining up to come here because of what he does. So we need, and is it because
you missed one out? You missed one out, which is the biggest improvement in the whole of the club, Dan Burn.
Oh, absolutely, hey, absolutely. In England international from being a cart horse, and I mean that not nationally. Not nationally.
And he's been playing in the England side.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll give the lads a little bit of a break. We'll have a quick ad break. We will be back after this. A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at their website, skipsandbins.com. Contact them at www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can find them at their website, mrvickies.co.uk, email info@mrvickies.co.uk, or telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to our fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. 2 crew driver and courier, local family company, 3-star plus quality hotels and no interchanges. Hot and cold snacks and drinks available on the coach. All excursions included. Their website, unitedgrouptravel.com. Email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com. Telephone 01670 632 460 or 0791 666 4174. Just £30 per person deposit. Thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the technical side of things. And if you like listening to us as a podcast, you can go to Sports Social Podcast Network or to iTunes, Spotify, or other podcast providers. If you want to support the show, then hit the subscribe button. It's free. We do 7 shows a week. Hit the little thumb up under the video, which is the like button, or click share to share to your social media. You can also join the channel on YouTube by hitting the join button for as little as $1.99 a month. If you want to become an NUFC Matters member, you can go to nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk. It's a £25 one-off fee. You get your pen, you get your badge, a key ring, you get your beer mat and your fridge magnet and your membership card, nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk for that. And we have an event early next year, 13th of February 2026, an evening with Beardsley, Waddle and Gascoigne takes place at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House. To buy your tickets for that event, go to the box office 0191 243 1171 or Tyne Theatre and Opera House.uk. And don't forget, John Gibson will be interviewing those wonderful players from our past at the Tyne Theatre, our annual event, which we are looking forward to. And also, our fanzine subscriptions are due. This is a non-profit fanzine, of course, like we did last year. All 4 issues for £25, which includes your postage, will come out during the season, and all proceeds will go to Age UK North Tyneside Dementia. So we are hoping to hit 100 subscriptions. We should be able to hand over a nice little total of around about £2,000 if we can hit that target. So please, if you can, help us with our fanzine this season. The link is in the chat. Okay, let's get back to transfers, lads. We've spoken about Isak, briefly mentioned Elanga. Let's talk about the other incomings, John. We've had a goalkeeper arrive and 2 goalkeepers depart. We've obviously brought in that right winger that we needed. Third only behind Salah and Murphy for assists was Elanga. So you would say that he's a welcome addition. We've now brought in young Jacob Ramsey as well, who sounded very positive with his chat about wanting to become a better player, and having watched from a distance, seeing players such as Jacob Murphy, Anthony Gordon, etc., become better players. He wants to do the same at Newcastle, which is great. And of course, long-term centre-half that we chased, Milak Chow, has arrived as well, right-sided centre-half, again, a position that we needed to improve. He has arrived as well. So it got off to a slow start, and he wanted them in quickly, but we're gradually getting them in. The 2 gaping holes that we have at the moment are, of course, up front, which we've talked about. What about the players that have come in? Ramsdale coming in as the goalkeeper first, John.
For me?
Yeah, John. Yeah.
I mean, whisper it ever so gently, but we've almost had a good transfer window. It was dreadful for 3/4 of the summer, but now think about it. We've got a goalkeeper, a right-sided centre-half, a midfield player because Longstaff's gone, and a right winger. I mean, yes, we're missing the greatest part of the jigsaw puzzle, which is 2 strikers. That will determine our season, how we handle that and the Isak situation. But elsewhere on the field, we've done terrifically. Ramsdale is, this is purely my opinion, Ramsdale is an upgrade on Dubravka at this stage of Dubravka's life. And thank you for everything you did for us, Martin, and you go with our blessing. Chow's a centre-half with AC Milan, an old teammate of Tonali. He's got everything going from the 2 greatest pluses for me he's got is that he's only 24, so there's room for improvement, and he's quick. And if Newcastle, and I thought that both Shaw and Byrne were fabulous down at Aston Villa, but it's undeniable that both are not quick. So if you're going to buy somebody else for those positions, he's got to be quick. and therefore Chow brings us what those two don't bring us, which is youth and pace. So that is a good signing. Elanga, I thought Jacob Murphy was sensational last season. There had to be competition on the other side. We've got Gordon and Harvey Barnes. Now we've got Elanga and Murphy. That's terrific. Murphy's pace is the best I've seen since Malcolm. He is so quick, it's absolutely untrue. So that is a huge advantage. We've got the and Ramsey. I tell you what, my only doubt ever about Jacob was that he stays fit, because he hasn't got a good fitness record. And the idea that we replace Joe Willock with somebody with equal fitness problems is frightening. But on ability, he is absolutely first class. He can play all the way across. Yes, he's left-sided. He can play left wing. We certainly don't need left wing. We need deep in them. But he can play left side of a midfield three. He can play right across the midfield line. And we need support. We only had the super three plus Maley, Lewis Miley, and that's not enough. This guy will fill in and get a load of games. He is absolute quality. He's a youngin'. He wanted to come, and isn't that wonderful to hear? And I think he'll do terrific for us. I'm pleased with the summer signings. I am worried to death about the centre forward situation.
Mal, what's your take on the incomings?
Yeah, I totally agree with the whole of what John has said. And until this Isak situation is resolved, one way or the other, nothing else is going to shine in the club. It doesn't matter what anybody does or who suddenly shows unbelievable form and class out there. The Isak thing is going to cast a shadow over everything until it gets resolved. And dare I say that if I were the manager of Newcastle at the moment, I would think, right, if I can set up a deal that if I move Isak on, I can get this one absolutely top player in, and it would need to be a goal scorer, not a forward, a striker or whatever, somebody who sticks the ball in the net. And they're few and far between. But that's what I'd be aiming to do if I were the manager of Newcastle United, because the Isak thing is not going to go away until Isak goes away.
Yeah, interesting stuff from both lads on the transfers. And one of the questions that I did see in the chat, John, was, is there anybody else linked other than Wissa? Because, again, Newcastle, have been quoted, I think, around about 60 million by Brentford, and they're going in with 35 plus add-ons, which probably takes it to 40. That, as you quite rightly mentioned, has been rejected. I mean, is there anybody else at the moment who Newcastle are looking at?
Yeah, yes. I mean, there's two separate issues here, and the press away from the Northeast get them mixed up. They think if we sign Wissa, job done, we then sell Isak. Not so. Wissa is seen as the Callum Wilson of Newcastle United. Yes, I would half be relieved if we got him. He plays centre forward and he scored 19 Premier League goals last season. Wow. If we'd had him at Aston Villa, we would have won. He's 5'7", so he isn't going to be Isak at 6'4", certainly in terms of in the air, but he's a good player. But if we get Wissa in and send Isak to Liverpool, I'm still monumentally worried, because that is not the way it ought to be, and therefore it's not the answer. We are now talking about the lad Lawson at Wolves, etc., etc. But you know what bothers me, guys? How far down the pecking order are we getting? I mean, if we haven't got, supposing we haven't got Isak, supposing we haven't got the guy that's just gone to Liverpool, Ekiteke, supposing we haven't got Senso, supposing we haven't got Delap, supposing we haven't got the centre forward we're going to get, is he going to be about sixth choice? And is that good enough to replace Isak and his pump? That is really taking a step backwards. I don't know what's left that we can get. There's plenty left we can make bids for, but we're not going to get them. Are we going to get somebody of quality that is going to make us relieved? Because the guy we're looking at now is the Wolves guy. Now, he might well be good. He might well do a job for us. I'm not knocking the kid, etc. But hey, facts are facts. He's going to be sixth choice, Malcolm. Now, how far down the pecking order can we afford to go before we say, I'm sorry, I'm going to pay 60 or 70 million for somebody that's sixth choice?
Yeah, absolutely, John. In all honesty, I really do feel that the board should be getting on to the people who are dealing with the transfers and start kicking their backsides, because it just hasn't been working for them. The most important job going into the summer, when as the season ended, the most important job was to replace Isak. That was the job to be done. Everything else just follows after that. We've turned it all round and we've done all the other business. We're getting turned down left, right and centre for the bigger business. And Isak's still there.
Malcolm, one of the worries to me, Malcolm, is there's always two sides to every story. We accept that, and we know. And Isak tried in what he did on Instagram last night to give his side of the story and failed miserably, by the way. He just dug himself a bigger hole than was already there. But the one thing I will say, that I'm totally in support of Newcastle. I understand, not just because of my love of the club, but I think they've been dealt a bad hand, etc., etc. The guy doesn't go on strike, as Malcolm beautifully said right at the top of the podcast. A footballer plays football. He doesn't go on strike. But the one thing that I think Newcastle have done badly, and this goes back to Malcolm, when I've said, when we've been talking about transfers, we have been reactive instead of proactive. And I think it's been exactly the same way with Isak. At the first sniff in-house that Isak was not comfortable, he hadn't got his new contract, he was having his head turned by other suitors, etc., etc. What was our reaction? Our reaction, Malcolm, was, oh, he's still got 3 years on his contract. We are in charge. He's going nowhere. End of conversation. You know what? It doesn't work like that. We produced a comfort blanket and said, we're in charge. There's a comfort blanket. You know what Isak did? He got a hold of the comfort blanket, threw it to one side, and what was beneath the blanket? A bed of nails. Because if he was going to insist on going because he felt that we hadn't addressed the situation, and I'm not on his side, but what I'm saying, we were complacent. We thought we could handle it, and suddenly somebody lit the bonfire. And once the bonfire was lit, we couldn't handle it.
Sure. So, John, Isak got it wrong. Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, supposing he had agreed to play against Aston Villa, gone, scored 2 goals, and then after the game said exactly what he said, it would have been so powerful.
Oh,
because he had played, scored, done the business, but he was still saying, I'm unhappy. I think the club are doing me wrong.
Malcolm,
and then people would take notice because he played. And and played to his best.
Malcolm, for me, that's what Eze did. He wants to go to Spurs. There's £60 million on the table. He still played against Chelsea. He effectively scored the winner because how it was chalked off, I don't know. He effectively scored the winner. He was officially man of the match. He said, there you go. Now, tell you what, he'll go to Spurs and he will be a Crystal Palace legend for the rest of time at Crystal Palace.
Yes, he will.
That's the way to handle it, Malcolm.
That's the way to do it. Yes, couldn't agree more.
Sky Sports breaking news at the moment as well is that Spurs are looking to include Richarlison in the deal for Eze and free up space to sign Johan Wissa.
Oh, say that again, mate. They're going to send Richarlison.
Spurs are looking to include Richarlison in the deal for Eze and free up space to sign Johan Wissa. That's just
Spurs to sign him.
Yes, Spurs. And Spurs no doubt will.
Because it's the old Brentford manager.
Yeah.
Well, hey, listen, Steve. What are you telling us we don't know? That's happened to Newcastle all summer, hasn't it? I mean, everybody, we spend so much time trying to sign James Trafford, we're sick of standing in the queue. We spend so much time trying to sign a ticket over 3 years that we're sick of standing in the queue. What happens? This is proactive and reactive yet again. We spend so much time debating the fine print. Why don't we go in and park the tanks on the lawn and blast everybody out of the flipping water? If Wissa now goes there, we have got a right to say, what on earth are we doing? What on earth are we doing? Because we couldn't go to pound stretcher and buy a centre forward because we wouldn't bid enough in pound stretcher.
It's a crazy situation we find ourselves in. Quickly before we look ahead to the game of the week, on Monday, is this simply down to the fact, Malcolm, that we haven't got a chief executive, we haven't got a sporting director? Is it down to the fact that we're relying on people who aren't used to, dealing in transfers or having to do this at the moment?
Absolutely, yeah. We haven't got people with the necessary footballing experience who know how football works, and one of the major problems is that it seems that whenever Newcastle have a bright idea, that it appears in all the newspapers. Correct. Before they even fully get to discuss it in St James Park. And so everybody knows Newcastle's business almost before some of the Newcastle United people, and no business is getting done because all the other clubs are being forewarned.
And it's
any idea? Have you guessed who Liverpool are actually going to sign? No, they've been talking Isak, and they keep going and buying other people. Yeah, and they're using Isak almost as a shield to keep the secrecy of other deals.
And what I think as well, Malcolm, which is a great point, when other clubs might be thinking about our targets. Oh, he would be a good player. He would be a good. And then when Newcastle's interest becomes public and they don't seem to keep it private, and I'm talking against myself as a hack, but I would want it private because that's the way to do it. When they hear the Newcastle interest, it's almost confirmation this is a good guy to get because everybody we've signed, whether it's Bruno from the middle of France, whether it's Tonali, whether it's Gordon from an average Everton side, we've turned them into stars. So Newcastle's judgment of a good player is good. They're in for this, but they're not blasting the doors off with a double-barrel shotgun. So let us go in and sign them. And they do. And they do. How many times have we been first, whether it's Ekitike or whether it's James Trafford or whoever it is, how many times have we been first to be interested and last when it comes to actually signing them?
Yeah.
Good point.
Absolutely.
Good point.
And well, I'll go back to my era, and the guy who was the master of the transfer market was Joe Harvey.
Absolutely.
And no sooner had the final whistle of the season blown than Joe he got me to go to meet him at the hotel, with the club's blessing, of course. It was all done properly, and within 2 days of the season ending, I'd signed for Newcastle. And that's shrewd business in getting stuff done. And I don't. And if Newcastle spent more time looking and considering the business they want to do and how they're going to do it, rather than making it public. Why are they making everything so public? Is it that they want to sort of get a feedback? Oh, are we signing the right player? You know, for heaven's sake, make your own minds up. Get your business done, but do it before the whole world knows about it.
Yeah. Okay, Newcastle's next game is Monday night, 8 o'clock kickoff, live on Sky Sports. It is sold out. And following the Carabao Cup final success in March, United are looking to get back-to-back wins against the Reds for the first time since November 1995, when a 2-1 Premier League home victory was swiftly followed by a 1-0 League Cup away win. The Magpies, though, haven't beaten Liverpool in the Premier League since December 2015, when they won 2-0 at St James's Park. Since then, the 17 league meetings have resulted in 5 draws and 12 losses. Early team news: Joe Willock remains out, but Saturday's draw away to Aston Villa brought no new injuries to light. Recent recruits Aaron Ramsdale, Malik Chow and Park Seung-soo were on the bench at Villa Park, and Jacob Ramsey's move to Tyneside has now been confirmed, so he should be available. As for Liverpool, well, we will have to wait and see a little bit later in the week as to what their team is. The referee has been confirmed. It's Simon Hooper. The Wilshire Whistlers began his Premier League season by taking charge of Arsenal's 1-0 win at Old Trafford on Sunday. His most recent appointment in the Newcastle game was a 1-0 defeat at Arsenal back in May. And his last sighting at St James's Park was in the 2-0 Carabao Cup second leg success against Arsenal. This will be his first Premier League appearance at St James's Park since the 4-1 home win over Chelsea in November 2023. And on VAR, it is John Brooks. So, John, Liverpool at home, the Malcolm McDonald's game is what we like to call it. How do you see this one going, John?
Well, I think it'll be pretty boring and low key, actually. I can't see it as
Bank holiday Monday, everybody out on the drink.
I mean, I can't actually see anything to get excited about. I think it'll be feisty, it'll be spicy, it'll be edgy, it'll be explosive. I mean, you know, I think it'll be as interesting in the boardroom before the game than it will be on the pitch when the game starts. Because this club, Liverpool, in recent times, they've unsettled Anthony Gordon and we lost him for about 6 months mentally before his head come back to us, etc. Now there's the Isak thing going on. They pinched Ekitike from us when the deal was virtually done. Hey, completely legitimately from their point of view, absolutely, but we're going to be absolutely thrilled. You can imagine what the boardroom is going to be like when their directors arrive and James Rubin sitting there. And, how are you? It's lovely to see you. And do you want any gifts from us? Because we want to be nice here. We've got some cake and a little bit of gin and tonic. And no, you want these up? Well, wait till after the game and we'll get a little red bow and put round his neck and present them to you. I mean, and on the terraces, the punters are going to be, I mean, the only thing Isak's going to be pleased about is that he hadn't signed for Liverpool in time to have to face Dan Burn, who would have cut him in half in the game. If Dan could have caught him, bless him, he would have cut him in half. But I mean, it's going to be feisty. It's going to be ridiculous. They are the greatest memory they produced the greatest memory we've had, which is win the Carabao Cup. But we are jinxed against them in the league. We just don't beat them in the league. I've always liked Scousers. I've thought Scousers are Geordies in disguise. Right now, I don't like them whatsoever. I'm desperate for us. You know what I want, Steve? I want Newcastle to win 1-0, and I want Anthony Gordon to score the goal. I want a Scouser to score the goal to leave the Geordies win, and the Scouser to try to nick under the table. That is the result I want.
Yes,
please,
because
if there's a God in the sky, Malcolm, if there's a God in the sky, can he give me that 1-0 Newcastle, Anthony Gordon?
Sure, because what we haven't mentioned in all the conversation today is how Liverpool upset Gordon some months ago.
I've just said it now. We haven't mentioned it.
We haven't mentioned that earlier at all. And by heavens, they did upset him, and his form dramatically nosedived. And I just feel that it is wrong for clubs to make public what's going on, and also what's going on in the shadows as well. And the authorities, I think, allow Liverpool to get away with anything they want.
I think in the boardroom, Malcolm, I was saying it would be lovely to be a fly on the wall in the boardroom before the game.
Yes.
If I was the Newcastle United chairman, I would fly in from Saudi to be there in front of them on the evening. And when they come in, knowing that they want Isak so much and everything, I would shake the hand, not the neck, of the Liverpool directors. And I would say, while you're here, I would just like to say that we're going to make a £60 million bid for Mo Salah. So instead of taking him home, just leave him here tonight and parcel him up, because we're going to have him. And really just put the cat among the pigeons. Naughty thinking, but wouldn't it be wonderful? But I tell you what, I go back to it, and I go back to it, and I go back to it. 1-0 to Newcastle, Anthony Gordon. That is my utopia on Monday night.
Malcolm, have you got a prediction?
Well, interestingly, Bournemouth, they scored 2 against Liverpool.
Yeah.
Liverpool are conceding. And Newcastle United, well, if they've learnt the lesson from the game this last weekend of what not to do when playing up front, and so do the opposite, and that will work for you. And Newcastle have got pace, and that's what will take Liverpool on and beat them. I'm going to go 2-1 to Newcastle.
Okay, I've gone for a draw, lads. I think it'll be a draw, and I'm very confident that Newcastle will play well and do well, but I'm going to go for a draw, a little bit more measured from me. If we've got a forward in by then, I could change my prediction, but at the moment it doesn't look likely. So I'm going to go 1-1. Malcolm, great to have you back. Over 2,000 people watching on Twitter and on YouTube tonight. Welcome you back. I'm sure you've seen the comments coming up on the screen as well. Great to have you back, mate. We will be back next Thursday, which is our usual day, and that will be 6 o'clock next Thursday. And perfect timing, really, because it'll be just in time to talk about Liverpool and look ahead to the next game. But thank you to Malcolm. Thank you to John. Thank you to everybody watching. Take care, lads, and have a good weekend.
Yes, keep the faith, guys.
Have a good one.